Welcome, guys. This is Yali Gonzaro bringing you new content in my first ever podcast called Supplementary Review. Yeah, it's not the best titled name, but we'll go with that for now because I can't think of a clever one at that. But I decided to do this podcast because I noticed when I was reviewing everything, and I've probably reviewed like 9 games now. But there's a lot more to be said than just uh, the 8 minutes, the compacted 8 minutes that you do in each of the video. The way I do it is I say a lot of good points about what the game was, but not really what the game meant to me personally. And I guess this will just be an afterthoughts of, I guess, the feelings of finishing an experience that made you think differently than most games usually play, like say a fighting game or a racing game. Um, I'm basing this podcast mostly on single player games that I play because there's a lot of story that was involved in planning the game and a lot of themes that were used, but we'll just try it out. This is unscripted, of course. I'm just gonna talk out of my ass, but I am going to cut to sections if I don't feel like they contribute anything to what I wanted to say or what I'm saying. So I'll have breaks, obviously, but you'll never hear it because I'm just gonna edit those out. It's just mainly what I'm speaking of. And the first one we're doing is Metal Gear Solid 3, and it it's definitely in my top 5, but after replaying it again on the HD edition, I realized that like most games you play when you're older, it's not truly how it was when you played it. I mean, there is the fact that you lose memory of a lot of things in general, and you usually remember just the good parts about it. But I played this game in 2009, so 6 years ago wasn't too bad. So I had an idea of what Metal Gear Solid 3 was. After I played it, it's still definitely in my top 5 for sure, but I feel like the controls would make it that much better. I don't think there's a lot of perfect games out, and Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is definitely not a perfect game. But if the controls were more refined, I guess at the time it was released, maybe in 2004 or something like that, or 2005, that's tolerable. But I felt like now that it was in HD, that the controls could be better because I was doing a lot of things, especially in the stealth game, that made it practically impossible to be stealthy because you're more concerned about what you're pressing rather than what the idea you have in mind. If you wanted to chokehold a enemy soldier, you'd have to sneak up on the guy slowly, but it was mostly like 50-50. You do get better as you play on, but I feel like by the time you're good enough to play Metal Gear 3, you're already at the end of the game. And that's what I tend to not like about games that has long learning curve. It's the fact that you're only good at the last few moments, and really just to test out how much you're better is just replaying the whole game over again, and that's really how I feel like it should be. It was really stressful. There's different types of stressful things about this game, and the first one is definitely the controls. I mean, the way the controls are set up, it's hard to maneuver out of something dangerous because not only is the controls kind of wanky, but wanky is the right word, right? Um, because the animations that follow with the controls have a huge delay that it'll be hard for someone that wants to play Metal Gear for the first time to try this specific game out. I remember when I played against the Fury, it took me literally an hour and a half to finish him. I remember when I played in 2009 that he was actually one of the easiest ones I ever played, and the match actually took probably like at least just 20 minutes. But going into this battle, I guess I uh, underestimated how good he was back then to the controls that I thought were smooth at the time too. So this lasted for an hour and 30 minutes, and I was getting so pissed off because every time you get hit by a fire or the flame from his flamethrower, Snake would do a backflip and last there, staying on the ground for probably 4 to 5 seconds while you're getting doused in flames. And the Fury's gonna come up to you and fire even more of his extinguisher in your body. And what you have to do to escape that is, first of all, get up, which takes forever. And one trick is putting on your camouflage to a different type of fabric. And the whole cure and camouflage thing were fine, but it got to a point where I was playing a boss. I guess it was the Fear and the Fury that I had to switch every 5 seconds from the main gameplay to the interface because there were so many things happening to Snake that I had to fix it, and it kind of gets OCD because you see your health bar going down and you know you have to cure it, but it takes away from the flow of the game. The the battle between two people is almost like you're facing the boss and you're facing the interface because you have to do it every time you're hit, and you're gonna get hit a lot if you're just playing the boss for the first time. Not only that, it's different strategies for different bosses. Compare it to a role playing game where you have a certain amount of time to think about what's happening, and the option menu is actually good because you get turns and it pauses when you want to cure yourself. But the way Metal Gear is set up, it's always constantly moving, and you have to pretty much think of a lot of things at one time when facing against a boss or a certain number of enemies. Let's just say I was on alert in the game almost all the time, and I even wanted to change the style of gameplay that Metal Gear wanted, which was stealth, and I was literally just about to just kill every soldier I faced against, and that was different from the second Metal Gear where my trusty weapon was the tranquilizer gun because I didn't want to kill anybody, and even then it was hard. But in Metal Gear Solid 3, you're definitely gonna kill whether you like it or not. But the other part of what was stressful about Metal Gear is how detailed it was to its surrounding and the development that the quality of development that was put into the game design. It was stressful because you were in a jungle, and trying to survive in a real jungle is kind of stressful if you don't know what's around you. And when you first go to the jungle, you want to run around, but you suddenly get bitten by a snake and you get poisoned, and you see a couple of birds flying around. You don't know if you can hit them. You use your tranquilizer and they become food. Like, literally anything in the jungle has some form of you could practically communicate with anything in the jungle, and there are mines planted midway through the game. It's almost like I was so stressed because every step I took, I had to take a look all over the area and the environment just so I know I'm safe or whether I can do something about the environment around me. And that meant I had to switch different types of items from like sonar to the AP sensor to tranquilizer gun and put like a silencer on it. Um, every few steps you make, you have to make a decision whether it's there's a couple of soldiers nearby, and I guess that's what good stress is for the game. I was always thinking about what I need to do from to get from point A to point B, and I knew that each step was gonna be difficult, and so I guess that's what I like about the game, in the fact that it was good because it was purposefully um, stressful for the player as intended. It's not just a walk in the park. It's called a stealth game. You have to have a huge amount of patience because the alert signal lasts for about 100 seconds, and after that, there's a caution period which lasts for probably a minute again too. So in today's in this modern day of gaming, where everything is so fast paced, fast paced, um, it's going to annoy a lot of people. I'm sure of it if they were to play Metal Gear at this day and age. And with that, I don't even want to talk about the last boss battle of the game. Um, Spoiler alert: if you didn't know, you're going against the boss. It's because this is as I said in the review, the starting point of Metal Gear, I guess. I haven't played Peace Walker yet, so maybe that will be. Is that a sequel to the third one? I don't know. I'll get to that in a couple of weeks. But in any case, the battle at the very end is supposed to be the highlight of everything you've done so far, and in some ways it is. But um, the controls yet again took away that feeling of something so epic was happening because aside from the controls, the camera at the last boss battle was horrible. It I don't know why they changed it, but they changed the main camera where the camera goes around your character Snake to it's almost like it was staged, and whenever Snake moves around and moves for you, you can't control it. You can't even press the R3, which you could in the game practically anytime during the game except that last battle. But yeah, it's almost like it was staged, so you had to pick certain spots. You can't just go anywhere because you don't have good visibility. There's trees you could go to, and when you're crawling, it's even worse because you can get that controlled camera angle, but you're doing it at a really slow pace. And if you played, you know that the battle has a time limit of 5 minutes, and there's not enough time to be crawling all over the area. And you're probably gonna get spotted too, even then. Um, yeah, the camera, it was almost like you had two sides that you can only go to. It was like east or west, because if you're in the middle, you're practically looking at all the white flowers that were surrounding you, or just the trees. And when you move that camera around, it's gonna be impossible to find the boss, which I will also say is camouflaged correctly. So that makes the final battle a lot harder than even the difficulty it already had because the camera was uh, really limiting the player. Um, but it was a good battle overall. I still think the Fury was the hardest battle I had to do in this game. Also, as a side note, I guess the guard dogs that was in the game scared the hell out of me. Not because they were like they took away a lot of my health bars, but I don't know. It was just weird thinking about killing a dog, but it was charging at you so quick and yelling that you get so much anxiety because you know the dog yelling is gonna come. It's gonna make the soldiers come, and it's gonna trigger a whole bunch of mess. And at the same time, I didn't want to kill the dog because it's a dog, even though it is an attack dog. But I don't know. Whenever I saw a dog, I was just really scared because it brought a domino effect, I guess, with the animal, and just shooting it was, I don't know, it was weird. I guess that's my own thing. Overall, I thought the game was pretty amazing. Aside from a couple of codec calls that could get tiring from paramedic, specifically the movies, because everything is uh, was from that point, 1960s. So most of the movies were probably not known to um, most of the gamers that played Metal Gear Solid 3 at the time and even today. But I guess it's a way of informing the new players of what movies were out at the time. And I know Kojima is a real movie buff, so it's only right. But yeah, some codec calls got a little too long, and really, I've said most of the gripes I've had for this game, uh, mostly on the controls. But the mood is definitely there. The game sets you up, and you're really invested in the environment itself. You feel like you're really in there because everything that happens for a reason, and Snake is caught up in all that, and you, as a player, uh, I guess feel what Snake is feeling at that time. So this game is still crazy. I rambled a lot. Probably it's going to the 19-minute mark now, but this is just my thoughts, and I'm just talking out of my head without a script. And I guess I've said most of what I wanted to say about Metal Gear Solid 3. Another part is the relationship between Snake and the boss, but there's so many underlying themes that I don't even know personally, so I can't ramble about it even if I wanted to. So we'll end it here. If you listened this much, then thank you.